we all signed in at the web address where you can download. Let me check something out here. I want to make sure I got the right deal. I think I do. All right. All right. So got a couple of books there if you want some more information, some DVDs, and then I had 2 new books that came out that I put out this year with some video and everything. So those might be worth checking out. Got to do that little piece, and that's it. My wife would be mad if I did this and didn't at least say, hey, I got some stuff. It's kind of interesting to look at how we got here. We got to the pistol. Mid-90s, we started experimenting in the gun. And in 99, we were running it probably 60% gun.
Muted.
And then in 2000, I want to say it was 2001 was the first time we got in the pistol. I'd seen a coach in Ohio talk about it at a clinic in Cleveland, putting the back behind the quarterback. He actually was in the eye behind the quarterback, and he was doing it in the 90s. And we'd seen something about it, and we started toying with it. My offensive line coach was a young guy that played for us, and he said, hey, let's try putting the back behind the quarterback because they were gaming our zone read. I told him it was the stupidest idea I'd ever heard. We're not going to do it. And then we went back to some notes, and I saw that someone had done it, and he brought it up again. And the next week, we had a great week rushing the football. And by 2006, we were full-time pistol. Now, for me, when I look at pistol, I look at the pistol, the tailback directly behind the quarterback. I think you can do just about anything out of this. And that's what's a lot of fun. You know, you can make this what you want it to be. Sometimes we'll go 2 back, sometimes 3 back, and then we also go empty. The thing that we want to do is be able to do all this. I don't want the defensive coordinator to know that we're going to be in a 2-back set because we're in 21 personnel. Couple reasons why we look at the pistol, why we like it is that teams could no longer game our zone read concepts. They didn't know what the front side or back side was going to be. What I loved is initially when we got in the gun, we used to jump back under center to run our I formation stuff. And the pistol allowed us to be able to run all of our concepts without ever having to get back under center. I'm a run first guy, and I want to be able to run concept, and I'd use our identity as we are 2-back, multiple pro with spread concepts married into what we're doing. And we want to be able to be very diverse and take concepts that normally we could only run one way and now be able to change the presentation and run a multitude of ways. And again, I want to be able to combine spread concepts with downhill run concepts and give our quarterback some depth in the pass game. When we started doing this, I was in the Bronx, New York, and if you guys aren't familiar with football there, basketball's the sport. We did not get kids that had ever played football coming to us, so we're teaching kids fresh. So I didn't have a lot of quarterbacks that had experience. So it was a lot easier to put a kid in the gun and be able to be effective throwing the football. This is one of the things I like to show this picture. This is us playing in a Port Richmond High School. I want to say this is 2002, and this is the type of 400 yards a game on the ground. I think 396 that year, and this is what we'd get. You know, we'd have 9 players within 7 yards of the line of scrimmage. Made it tough to run the football if we weren't better than somebody. We had to count on, 7 guys or 8 guys making a block. This is against the same team the next year at our place when we got into the pistol. You can see it's spread out. We've got room now to run. We've essentially got a 6-man box, and that's a heck of a lot. But biggest thing we gained out of this is we could run all of our zone reads and downhill run concepts with our quarterback having some depth. What I'm not going to spend much time on this because everybody has their own formation concepts. We know huddle everything, but we still have words we use when we're scouting and things like that. But basically, if you look at this, we have 6 different formation concepts that talk to our why. Rip and Liz, put him as a true tight end. Ron and Lou, he's a twin. And Larry, he goes opposite he goes to the call. We'll have twins opposite, and then we have tack, which is tackle over. But we signal all these, and it's really easy to signal. So that's kind of how we do everything. But I want you to understand that the why is our words talk to the why. and then we have numbers for the H, but we have a coach that signals the H. We don't actually use the numbers. We use this for our scouting report when we're entering information in huddle. But the position of the H, we signal, and we can line him up in a multitude of places. So we never have to take. This guy can be anybody we want. We have a lot of 21 personnel. So this would be a second back, and he can be lined up anywhere we want. But we can also go 12 personnel and use any of these same formations and alignments. And you'll see some of this today as we go through it. I'll just show you a couple pictures. This is a two-back pro look, which basically, if we're under center, it'd be called king. But this would be rip 2 for us. This is our what we call home, which is just our 3-back diamond. This is Liz home, where now we've got a tight end to the left side, but the backs are all in the home position. That puts our Y, our H, and our pistol back all in the backfield. I'm sorry, our H, our pistol back, and our Z all in the backfield. And it allows us to be able to have a little fun. I took a picture out of there, but I'll show you a little bit of tackle over as we go through this. Our big deal is what we knew. We were a big inside-outside zone and zone read team. We were also running some option at that time. We were running midline and veer. And then we ran a little bit of power. And then as we started to expand this offense, we adapted it each year. And I know, Ryan, you had posted something on Coach Huey about possibly getting a job where you're going to be building an offense from scratch. And that's essentially what we did. We took the best of what's available. We created a 9-concept even run game. And then from there, we adapted it each year to meet the needs of our personnel. About 5 years ago, we were playing the same district as Midland Lee, Odessa Permian, and all those guys that are legendary schools, are great football schools. We were a little bit overmatched in some games physically. We had a really good option quarterback, so we ran a lot of midline and veer that year. So we were able, some years we don't run any midline and veer. Our traditional inside runs, we really have 4 concepts: inside zone and zone read, power, ISO, and GT. We want to be able to run these a multitude of ways, and I'll show you some things that might trigger some ideas inside your mind. Inside zone and zone read, we like it because when we say inside zone back, inside, and I'll show you a picture of it in a minute.
That's a discussion.
Somebody's got their TV going in the background there. And then when we say zone read, we're going to read a backside defense. But the blocking stays the same regardless of whether we're running the read concept or we're running our regular inside zone concept. We've blocked this different ways, but typically we're going to use covered, uncovered principles, working a covered front side player with an uncovered backside player. And we try to keep it relatively simple. We do have some variations we run off of it. We run inside zone lead, where we zone block it, but then we lead a back front side, and a Bob call puts him on the inside backer. Boss puts him on outside backer, which we just say boss for strong safety. It's that first guy outside the end man on the line of scrimmage. And then we run seal, which a lot of people call slice. It's our split flow. And then we run inside read, where we read a backside defender. So this gives us several different looks without having to teach anything new for our offensive line. This is what a covered, uncovered concept would look like. If we had a 3 technique, we're running zone to the right side, where we're zone blocking right. Our covered guard would work with our uncovered center. They're tracking a down guy to the linebacker. We want to secure the down guy first. And a big deal we talk about is we want to dent the line of scrimmage. We want to get movement. We want to get vertical movement, not horizontal displacement on this. Footwork. Guys always ask about footwork. I think it's important. If we're running our traditional front side inside zone, which I'm fixing to show you some pictures of, our quarterback is going to catch football. We always talk to him about catching it and bringing it through his belly button, which is his third hand. It helps him to secure the snap. We're going to open at 45 degrees to the call side and reach the ball deep. We want to get the ball as deep as we can to the back. Our quarterback's toes are at 4.5 to 5 yards. Our pistol back is going to be 2 to 2.5 yards behind the quarterback, maybe a little bit deeper on inside zone. We don't want to tip it, but we what we talk about with our guys is we have our teaching alignment, our assignment alignment, and then our ability alignment. Teaching alignment is where we tell you to line up day one. Then your assignment alignment is your slight adjustment based on assignment, and then your ability alignment that's based on your ability to be able to execute the call. The quarterback's job is being able to get that. We tell the quarterback he has to be soft with the handoff, and we're going to boot fake off of this. We don't reverse out ever. It doesn't fit what we do, and it's there's nothing wrong with it if that's in your philosophy. The tailback, his footwork running inside zone is he's going to take a flat zone step to the play side, and he makes sure the snaps keep rushing. Then he's going to roll over his outside foot, make a deep, soft pocket. We tell him palm out because that keeps the elbow up. And he's reading 1 to 2, and his aiming point's the outside leg of the play side guard because we want to be able to – we want his shoulders to be almost at a 45-degree angle because our offensive line shoulders are going to be at a 45-degree angle. And then our offensive line's aiming point, we want them to be thick on the defender. We want them to get their face mask. We always say it's the play side jersey number because we don't want them just turning out. We want them to step through, and we want to get their face mask through the middle of the man to the play side number. We want them to be real thick on inside zone. And the tailback, we want his shoulders mirrored to the offensive line. Now, I talk a lot about we're reading 1 to 2. What he's looking at is the first defender is what we call one. That's a first down guy, play side. If one goes out, we go in. But if one's in, I'm out, and now my eyes go to 2. If 2's out, I'm in. If 2's in, I'm out. This thing downhill. What happens a lot is because we run outside zone and stretch, is that number 1 guy there in the slide, that defensive tackle. A lot of times he'll widen because he doesn't want to give up the B gap. He doesn't want to get reached. And then that backside 2-eye or 1 technique doesn't want to get reached, and this thing will hit. I think I have a clip where it cuts back through the backside B gap, but the backside B gap is actually straight downhill from the back. This is what it would look like if we got an underfront, or what some people, old school call a 50, where we get a 1-5-9 play side. And our back expects on this. Our back expects to hit this thing right on the inside leg of the tackle. Again, it will come back at times. I'll show you. This is what we call a boss call, I believe. Let me see. Run that. I won't run that back for you. Okay, what we've got here, nope, this is not the boss call. This is our base inside zone. You can see we've got this is, when you get a 5-man box, I don't think there's any other play you have to run. And we get a 5-man box, we go ahead and block that backside defensive end. That's why you see our tackle stepping inside to take the slant, and then he's working to hinge on that backside D end. Because we've got 5 to block 5, what we do is we just make a basketball call, and that tells everybody we're playing 5-on-5. Basketball, that's all the quarterback says, and actually we use a team. We say Lakers if we're going left, so he just said Lakers. Sometimes we'll go basketball check, and he'll say Lakers if it's left, Spurs if it's right. But you can see the quarterback opens at 45, tailback takes a slight zone step left, attacking the inside leg of the tackle, and then he knows right now. And this deal here, when we get that head-up nose with a wide 5, we'll sometimes flip the read and we'll go 2 to 1. So if he sees 2's out, that outside guy, he immediately knows I'm downhill and I'm working off a 1. And this is one of those deals that's probably more luck than anything that the nose slanted to the field. We see a lot of people, I'll show you a couple clips later on, that defend the field because we do things to the field. We like to set our formation to the field and do things back to the boundary. Now, the quarterback's wrong. He should be boot faking here. That gives you an idea. That's the front side inside zone out of the pistol, just like we ran it under center. Nothing fancy right there. Okay, here's split flow. Okay, or seal. We can run this with it as a downhill play. The offensive line, all they need to know is we're running this left word and a right word. And our word is Indiana left, Hoosiers right. We have a signal for it, and all it is it's wagging your finger like Bob Knight. We've also used Jimmy Chitwood shooting a 3. So act like we're shooting a three-pointer. If it's with the right hand, we're going right. If it's with the left hand, we're going left. And then we've got a seal signal that's a tag. So it's real easy. So we just tag seal at the end of the call, and it lets everybody know, hey, the offensive line's blocking inside zone to the right, and it tells the H-back that you are flowing across the formation, and that H-back can be lined up anywhere to do this. Here we're running seal, but we're going to add a little window dressing. We're going to bring the Z in motion. So we're running inside zone to the right, okay, inside zone to the right. We've got our real wide three there. They're double three techniques. We're going to run inside zone to the right, but we're bringing the Z to add a little window dressing. We want to hold that backside outside line. Now, what we tell the seal guy is if the defensive end or the C-gap player runs upfield, you climb to block the next level because the fake to the Z will handle him. He's wrong here. That defensive end is upfield. He should be climbing to block that outside linebacker, okay, that third backer on the off to the offense on our left side. And you can see here from the pistol, we run it just like we would under center. The difference is under center, you that H-back align on one side and be a borrowed blocker. You can see right here, the quarterback is going to open at 45. We want to get the ball deep. Tailback takes his own step, and then he's downhill, and what he's reading is 1 to 2. Well, he sees one's out, I'm in, and watch this backside. Watch this cut back. And the back, we got some movement here. It's a great job by the right guard. Great job of him on his initial second step and punch, run his feet. Our center was not very good this year. That team, and I hope he's not on here. He's a heck of a guy. He just wasn't a great center. He'll tell you that. But we do a great job of getting some movement here. Do a great job. That backside center and guard do a great job. And again, the guy that makes the tackle is the guy that our seal guy should be blocking. And we'd like to have our left tackle there get his eyes up. But anyway, that gives you an idea of how out of the pistol you can come out and you can run your inside zone with a fake Z reverse just like you would under center in a pro-style offense. I really like that concept. Okay, now the next deal we have is called boss. This is something we'll do against teams that like to roll that extra guy down into the box. Or just outside the box. We can run this strong or we can run it weak. Nothing changes. We're going to be covered, uncovered, but it allows us to account for a fourth strong defender or a third defender weak. Okay, this is what the boss call looks like. We're actually going to motion. We're just motion. All we're doing is we're in a one-back trips look. We're going to motion the H across, and he's going to block that extra defender outside the box. Okay, and you can see here, one's in, I'm out, two's out, I'm in, and if our guard does a better job here, he misses that play side linebacker. If that left guard does a better job, we end up with a decent football play, and I'm realizing this video might be a little choppy. That's not perfect. On my window, it's perfect, and on y'all's, the preview screen that it gives me, it's not perfect. Right? That stinks. All right, I was shouting the whole time. All right, the next deal, off inside zone. We want to be able to run an attitude run downhill. We're going to run naked off of it. We're going to do what we call a claw fake, where the quarterback's basically going to get his deuces, get the point of the ball between his deuces, show the football, and then he's curling that wrist. And as soon as he completes the fake, he's pulling the ball back to his hip, and he's going to have it in the claw of his hand curled up, hiding the ball in his hip. On the fake, we want him to dip his hips, and I think one of the biggest keys is they have to get their head around early. And I hope y'all can see this better than the other stuff. But we're going to fake inside zone to the right, and then the quarterback's going to boot out left, and all we're doing is the number one receiver is running. The outside receiver runs a corner route, and the second receiver runs what we call a pivot or a pig route, works inside for 2 steps, pivots, and works back outside. Okay, and the next deal we can do is off the same thing. We've got a trips set to the right. We're going to fake inside zone to the right. The quarterback is going to roll. We call this roll. So we have naked going away from the play. We have roll going to it. So we don't always want a boot away, because if we get a defensive end or an outside linebacker that likes to dive inside on inside zone, we want to be able to roll that same way. So we just built it in. Quarterback's going to fake the inside zone. He's going to roll front side. He's going to plant. It doesn't matter what route concept you run. We run a 3-level concept there. I think 3-level passes are very good. The next deal is inside zone. We're going to inside zone read. We're going to block this the exact same way as we would block inside zone. Biggest deal, we read the C-gap defender initially till we start tagging, and this combines well with our RPOs. For zone read footwork, anytime we are reading a backside player, the quarterback, now it says here we're going to push to the play at 6 inches and then step at 4 or 8 o'clock. We've adjusted our footwork. One adjustment we've made, if we're running zone read to the right, so we're blocking zone right, reading on the left side, we're actually going to step with our right foot. We're going to take a step to the right with our right foot pushing off the midpoint. We're going to step at 4 or 8 o'clock. In this case, it'd be 8 o'clock with our left foot. And the back is going to go 1, 2, 3. He's going to take 3 steps off the midpoint downhill. And then we're always going to now step opposite with our opposite foot, or our play side foot, really opposite our read. So if we're reading a left side guy, just a slight push away step with your right foot, take your left foot, and we're going to step to 8 o'clock, reach the ball deep, ride, and we're going to read the backside C-gap player. And our rule, squeeze and chase, pull and replace. I think I got a picture of it right here. This gives you a picture of it. So the quarterback, and it kind of shows him stepping back, but he's just stepping flat. So if we're reading a left side guy, quarterback steps to his right with his right foot. With his left foot, steps to 8 o'clock, reaches the ball deep and rides. If we're reading a right side guy, run with any run to the left side, doesn't matter what run it is, quarterback's going to take a flat step with his left foot, real short step, and then he's going to push to 4 o'clock, and he's going to read that backside guy. This is a look at the zone read concept. Quarterback, here we're running zone to the left, so we're reading a right side guy. Quarterback is going to push with his left foot, step to 4 o'clock rather, with his right foot, read the defensive end. If the defensive end is pull and replace. Anything else, give the football. Now I've got it drawn here where we block the outside inverts there. We now RPO every inside run. We don't block the perimeter at all unless you are blocking for a quick game concept. For the offensive line blocking inside zone read, and the back still reads 1 to 2. The difference is now what we've done with their eyes is we've told them to track the backside first. We peek that backside because if we get any type of a flow and that defensive end squats, a lot of times we'll have that backside lane open and it becomes almost a downhill run. So I think that's something that's relatively important to look at there. And I hope you guys are getting this. I just wanted to peek at the questions real quick. But that gives you a look at the inside zone read. We've got a concept we call 2-track-2. The thing that people will do, as you all know, is they will play games. They will bobtail read, so they will take the defensive end if he gets a down block, and he will run the heel line, and the backside linebacker or the read side linebacker will scrape over the top to play the quarterback, and your quarterback ends up getting hit in the mouth. What we've done is we've come up with this 2-track-2 concept. Right? We actually call it David, not Deuce. We changed that because we already had a Deuce call in our book when we did this about 10 years ago. What we are doing with this 2-track-2 call is we're borrowing a defender from the back, is crossing a formation, and he is seeing that read. If the read key squeezes, we work outside of him. If the read key squats, we work inside of him. So he can block for either the back getting the ball or football. This gives us a way that we can handle that extra defender or a stunt that may be playing the quarterback. We get a lot of people that will play us in a double eagle look with the safeties at 7 yards versus this front. I'll show you that here in a little bit when we run some stuff. And those safeties, the safety will roll down to play quarterback. And obviously we can beat it with the pass, throwing a post behind it and RPO it. But one of the things that we like to do is borrow that backside defender. We can also add something called cowboy. What a cowboy call does is cowboy, how easy it is. If we say Indian, that's the inside guy, so it might be a third receiver. So we have a cowboy call and we have an Indian call. In this case, it's cowboy call. On the snap of the ball, he's going to back pedal 1, 2, 3, pause, wait to get into pitch relationship, and now it gives us a triple option effect off of our zone read. We can do this on the read side of any of our runs. And again, I've got it drawn here where we're blocking. I will show you film in a second where we don't block anybody anymore on any inside run on the perimeter. We only block inside guys. This is an example. I hope the video isn't so choppy, but we're in a bunch set. We're motioning to bunch. We're running zone to the right. Quarterback's reading the left defensive end. He gets a give read, but we took the number 2 receiver, and the number 2 receiver became the pitch key. I'm watching in the preview. The number 2 receiver becomes the pitch key. Here's the same type of a look. We're actually going to motion an extra blocker across. Quarterback gets a squeeze and chase, pull and replace, and pitches to the number 2 guy. I'm sorry, that's a little bit choppy. It always does that, but it is a little bit. And man, I'll try to, maybe I can get a playlist made and try to post a few of these clips if possible. All right, let's look at the next deal. All right, so let's talk about pre-snap RPOs. I wrote a book that covers all the pre-snap and post-snap RPOs, but I'm going to give you our just base rules. When we call a play, everything I want our terminology to be as small as possible, and we actually have 5 calls that are one word. Back in about 98 or 99, I'm sitting in my office in the Bronx, New York. Chip Kelly comes through, this young coach from New Hampshire. Wasn't that young. I mean, he was pretty young, but he comes through and he looked and he said, "Wow, you guys are running some no-huddle tempo." And I said, "Yeah, we're playing with it." We were under center in a game playing Canarsie High School. I had a guy named Leon Williams, and they were very, very. They actually had 4 guys that played in the NFL on that roster. We said, "All right, so we've got to do something." And what we did was we went no huddle and ran all of our 5 one-word calls, and he kind of looked at it and was like, "Wow!" And we were verbalizing everything, and he came through and talked about some hand signals stuff, and the other thing was he said, they're trying to, well, if you go to McDonald's and you get a number 1, everybody knows a number 1's a Big Mac, fries, and a Coke. So you don't need to say formation, motion, and play in a call. You need to say number 1. So what we've done is come up with some one-word calls, some easy words, like, for example, when we wanted to run ISO, all we had to do was we had a signal for Illinois. That's it. And it was Sears Tower. So we drew like a little Illinois. We're running ISO to the right, and what we're going to do is we're going to get in 2-back twins opens. We're going to go twins left. We're going to have the pistol back behind the quarterback. We're going to have the H-back offset to the twins, because that way we're probably going to get the strength to the twins and the back, but we're going to run ISO away from it. But all we did was a one-word call. Now we've taken that a step further, and that same call would include our pre-snap RPO. The way that we did this so that we don't have to tag anything, if there's one receiver, he runs a 5-yard stop. if there's two receivers, they run what we call quick. Some people call it smoker now, or solid. It's just the number one, the outside receiver, fast hands, fast feet. Stop, don't gain any ground. Step back behind the line of scrimmage, and number two blocks for him. Number two blocks the most dangerous man. That's what we call quick. And if there's three of you, we run bubble. So 1 and 2 block, 3 runs the bubble. That's always on all of our run concepts for our inside runs. So if there's one of you, you run a 5-yard stop. The reason we chose that, we used to run 8-yard stop, 8 back to 6. But then we realized if we're not blocking the defensive end and we don't want to have the quarterback say anything that tips that we're throwing, we want the line to block to run. It may be a read play. A 5-yard stop, the quarterback can catch, turn, and throw him out of the break. On an 8-yard stop, he can't. The receiver will never get out of the break. So we do have a couple of guys that weren't real fast, so they ran a 4-yard stop. We had a couple of guys that were a little bit faster. Theirs is actually at about 6 yards. But our rule is 5-yard stop if there's one of you, quick if there's 2 of you, and if there's 3 of you, we're going to run bubble. Now, the back's offset here. We still offset our back some. We don't always go pistol. But here we're running inside zone to the left. We're reading the right side defensive end. He's standing up over there. And we have quick to both sides. With the quarter screen, the quarterback could throw this either way. He is looking to find leverage. He's finding that second defender. The corner's the first guy. Who's the second guy? Now, if the corner is, if you're an R4 guy or you do any research with Dub Maddox and Darren Slack, they had a great term called the hard deck. Our hard deck is at 7 yards. So the first guy below, because we play a couple cover 3 teams where the corner is going to be at 9 yards. But we come out here in the corner. Well, he's 1. He's below the hard deck. Where's 2? Well, number 2's in the box. Both sides, but we like it down below better because we have more space. So the quarterback doesn't say anything. The offensive line doesn't know we're throwing. They're blocking inside zone read. Quarterback's going to catch, turn, throw. And these guys like to run quarters to the field, and more of a squat corner to the boundary, which made it even better. And I'll show you what this does to your run game in a minute. But the quarterback catches the snap, turns, throws. We're going to block the most dangerous guy. You can see they're starting to rock that safety down, and we do some things to take advantage of that. But the quarterback catch, turns, throws, and we tell the receiver, get vertical and then out. And that kid probably runs a 4.9, but he was a great football player, great for this concept. So that's an example of a pre-snap RPO. Now, here's what this does to the defense. Here's what this does to them. Okay, next. Same thing. In fact, I think this might be the very next play, or now it's a couple plays later because it's second down. I think we just actually gotten a penalty. We were going tempo and we snapped it and jumped offside. One of our guys moved a little quick. Here we're running inside zone to the right. The defense is so worried about the quick game concept. Whoops. They're so worried about that quick game concept that they have now covered the number 2 receivers to both sides. So our quarterback says, we don't have leverage, we're going to run the ball. But because they've done that, you can see the safety to the field side is playing quick, and he's not getting involved in the run game. And I'll show you a clip that's actually from this game, how that helped us even more. But again, that's how we don't have to block perimeter players anymore to account for them. So that's the inside little RPO, and the only way I can see if we got questions down here. And that may be right. That may be it. Let me see if it's choppy. Ryan just posted on there about the choppiness. Let's see if I'm gonna try this right here. See if it's still choppy. Yeah, it's still choppy. Shoot. Well, it's a little choppy. I'll see if I can get some way to get a couple of those clips onto a deal and post it on Google Drive or something. Let everybody be able to see it. Yeah, it's a little bit weird. The next concept that we're going to run, we want to be able to run our traditional 2-back concepts, is going to be ISO. For us, we're going to isolate a play side inside linebacker. Our offensive line is going to step to leverage. We want to get a combo at the point of attack if we can versus an even front. We're going to combo ones. We're going to base turnout on fives, and we're going to base a three technique. If we get an odd front, then it just depends on how they line up in that case. I will tell you that if we get a double eagle look, we're not running a whole lot of ISO. We're going to run a lot more counter and power. We don't say, for example, this year we played 3 or 4 teams that double eagled us the entire game, or at least early in the game. Double eagle, had a safety roll down. We ran counter. I mean, we just ran it and ran it and ran it and ran it. 3 points this year against the double eagle front. We had 35-7 at halftime, and then scored our first 2 plays of the second half. And then, of course, we played all our young guys and backups, and still were successful. But we're not going to come out and say, we got to be able to run ISO if they're gonna take that away. So that's something I think is important. When we run our ISO look, we'll run some from some 3-back. And when we go with our 3-back look, we can do a lot of different things. We like to run what we call double ISO, and that's where we're going to lead both backs through the same hole. And then sometimes we'll take a back through the backside hole, and we'll let our running back choose the best side. And what I mean by that is we'll call ISO, say, to the right, but we'll send each of our Y and our H, the right side back through the right side A gap or B gap, wherever the hole is, and then the other back through the left side. And that gives our running back essentially a 2-way go and allows us to stay solid on defensive linemen. And down in the goal line, and that's really important. So we're able to have some success with that. I think the ISO concept is great down in the red zone, and it gives us something because this team was so concerned with power that their defensive ends, even though they were playing in a 4-eye, they were stepping to our tackle, and they were trying to keep from being able to get a down block and making everything a little bit ugly. And this is a look at double ISO, bring the backs both through the same hole. And I think this is one of my favorite concepts. You get both backs through the same hole, and then, of course, your tailback is going to follow them, but it allows us to get one back on the line player or the safety. And then we also run ISO, isolating a safety. And when we do that, when we isolate that safety, I'm going to see if I can draw on here. When we do that, we're going to get our base blocking, but now what we're going to do is we're going to block this. Instead of comboing the nose, the guard is going to work up, and the guard is going to block the play side linebacker. We're not going to isolate him, and we're going to go ahead and isolate the safety with that front side back. So he's going to work all the way to the safety. And this is something that we've found to be very, very effective. Let me turn the pin off here. This is something we found to be very effective. If we're getting a team that likes to bring their safety down and we feel like we can handle the nose. And if you've got a decent running back, it's a pretty good thing to do. So again, you can isolate the safety instead of just isolating that play side linebacker. Let's see if I got this here. All right, and then we can go split back. So now you do the same thing from split back, but now you take your front side back, and the reason we like this is we run a ton of outside zone from split back and outside zone from the pistol with the offset back. So we get people widening. This here, I mean, it's against Midland Lee a few years ago when they went several rounds deep. And we get them, what happens is it gets them running wide, and it creates space inside for our back. But for our offensive line, ISO is ISO is ISO. So even though we're in the pistol, and we don't move up in the pistol like a lot of people, it get that split back look. Man, look at that on there. It gives you a chance to run your ISO play from a split back look, and you can force those defenders to want to run wide. See if I can get the pin up here. And when they're running wide to stop the outside zone, I think that can help us out. And Drew says their Google Drive. I'm gonna put together this presentation drive document, and I'll share the address back on that sign-in sheet, and I'll create a little playlist and upload it too with clips, so that you guys will be able to pull that up and see it, and see the clips kind of in their entirety. But I think that'll give you a chance to look back at this. And the reason I took this off Huddle, I left my coordinator job this year. It was hard to leave, dang 14-win team, but 13-game team. But I was commuting 80 miles each way, and I got a chance to coach at home, basically. New coaching staff, new head coach got hired at Estacada High School, Marcus Shavers, and had a connection to him through his brother-in-law, and ended up going there as an offensive line coach. And all my stuff, all my presentations on Huddle, all of these, when I downloaded them from the last school I was at, they won't play. Huddle doesn't even know why. So basically I had to take and rebuild the presentations, and then take and embed the clips into Keynote. And it works great on everything except right now when we're on this, and I apologize for that, but again, I'll post the presentation and clips. The next concept is power. Now, I'm going to show you how we blocked power, and I'm going to give you something I think you'll really like. Basically, power is a block gap away. So if we're running power to the right, everybody's blocking their left side gap. If there's a player in your gap, you down block him. We want to get our head across the bow and not give up penetration. And then once we get on our third step, then we work our basically our backside or gap ear to the play side hip and keep him from spinning over the top. We get a lot of well-coached guys that the minute they feel a down block, they're cross-facing or spinning over the top. So we can't just step down. You're not going to get enough movement. We've got to negate penetration and keep him from spinning or cross-facing us back over the top. If there's no one in your gap, then you're working to the first linebacker that tries to cross your face. We call this powering down basically on railroad tracks. We all have railroad tracks, and we'll run that power path down, and we're blocking anything ugly that tries to cross our face. Backside guard wraps through the first play side window. He wants to find that first space. And we're either going to kick the end man on the line, or we can also run power read, where we read the front side guy, and then we can run power as a backside read. Our power concepts, we run two-back power, traditional like everybody else. We also run a version of one-back power, but I didn't put it in here. We run power with wide action, where we make it look like we're running outside zone, just like we did ISO, and I'll show you that. We can stack the backs and do some things, and then we run a front-side power read. We also run power reading a backside player. This is how we started running power. This is like a lot of you. We're going to run it with a tight end. We're going to double the 7 or 5 technique, back to the mic, pull the backside guard. We're going to combo that backside 1, or the center's going to block back, and that backside, our front side guard just working on his railroad track backside. Backside tackle guy. It's an off tackle play, but if we don't get any movement on the 7 technique, we don't have a football play. Now our back it's a tough read for him, because he's got to make a very quick decision. Am I off tackle or am I downhill? And his path has to change too drastically. So this is how we originally did it. And I've got a clip here, and I'm going to try to pause it and see if it'll hold. But the first thing that happens is we're kicking that outside linebacker. We're kicking that stand-up outside linebacker. And the first thing that happens is we get movement down. The outside linebacker doesn't fill well. So our fullback doesn't really work out to him. And then our back, because it's a mess inside, ends up tight with this, bounces it outside, and it seemed like it was always bouncing. And that's fine. We're gaining yards until we play someone who the unblocked guy is a strong safety, or a corner if they're playing cover 2 and they're downhill. So what we did was we changed how we blocked. The great thing about the pistol is that we can kick a 5 technique. So what we're going to do is we're going to run this play now where we kick first guy outside our tackle. We no longer, we're going to kick, that's our rule. Okay, in this case, it'd be a 5 technique, but it's not always. It depends on the look. Whether we have a tight end or not, we're kicking the first guy outside the play side tackle. That's it. So our H can be front side, he can be back side. Here he's lined up like kind of, a lot of people use the term sniffer. And he's going to, what we do is we call it a banana or a J path, the letter J, and he's going to work to make sure not get that defensive end, that guy we're kicking, crossing our face. We're going to work to his inside jersey now. It's going to open just like he did on inside zone. Open at 45, roll the ball back, get it as deep as you can. Tailback takes his own step, make sure the ball is secure, and he is running down the inside leg of the guard. What we tell our guys on this play is we want it to hit the A-gap till it can't. It's got to hit the A-gap till it can't. Hit the A-gap till you can't. We do not want them hitting this thing wide. So basically what we've done is we've taken our attitude under center play, and now we've got the ability to run it from the pistol with our RPO concepts. And again, I'll put all these clips into a playlist. But the 2-back power play, very simple. You can see how tight it hits. It doesn't matter whether it's an even or an odd front. And we tell him, hit the A-gap till you can't. Hit the A-gap till you can't. Hit the A-gap till you can't. Something that we will do off of this that we've started doing about 4 or 5 years ago is we've started to stack the backs. So we'll jump out of the pistol and we'll stack the backs. And the reason we do this, first thing, we're adding 2 gaps to both sides of the formation because our quarterback can be a runner on either side of this. The pistol and the gun allows you to borrow backs, borrow blockers. So our H can block either side. Our T could block either side. Our H could block either side for the T. In the pass game, this essentially becomes a trips formation to the right side. So they've got to be able to defend all of your trips concepts as well. We can run front side, we can run back side, we can run outside zone to the left, we can run power, ISO, GT, any of that with stacking the backs. We can stack the backs opposite the Y, bring the Y in motion, and run jet sweep that way. We can fake the jet sweep and run power, which I'll show you in a minute. We're actually reading a dude, but it gives them another look. So we're going to put the defense into a bind here. And we do a lot of RPO game where we're going to come up and we've got basically our built-in RPO and then 2 runs called, and the quarterback's going to give them a run. So we're either going to run power to the left or we're going to run quarterback outside zone to the right. Nothing changes for our guys until the quarterback tells them. And it's really a neat thing to do. And I think this formation with the backs to the same side as Y or flipped can be very good for you. This is backside power read from a stack position. And what we'll do is we will sometimes read that backside B-gap defender. That's our rule. We're going to show you that here in a minute. It allows us to control him. Now the clips I'm going to show you, it's a B-gap linebacker, not a defensive tackle. We thought when we start with that the pulling guard would always make that tackle chase. But the first time you pull it against someone, that tackle is going to be coached not to chase. And we get a lot of tackles anyway that slow play us because they do get read in some other things that we do. This gives you the look. It's a 3-3 stack team. I think power weak is a great look versus a 3-3 stack. I'm going to pause that. We're reading a backside linebacker there. And the backside linebacker, that B-gap guy, stays home. So we wall the front side. We've got a kick from the H and the backside guard pulling to lead through to the outside linebacker. And it ends up, you end up with a big crease. And that's what we want. We want the play to hit tight. I'm going to try to at least get it paused here. That's what we want right there. 5 is the ball carrier. You can see the size of the alley. That's why I love power, strong and weak, but really weak against a Fenton hard, strong. I really like this week, and it gives you a chance to what we call build a wall. Okay, now here we're playing a cover 3 team. We're going to line up. We're basically in what we'd call Larry, which puts our tight end to the left side with his hand down. Twins are opposite. Got our H-back offset to the right. Of course, our pistol back in the pistol. And what we're doing here is we've just got power to the left called. That's it. It's power to the left. The quarterback's actually opening backside on this, and we're running what we call quick. I told you guys it's an hour of smoke. It's automatic. So we call power. It doesn't matter whether we're running power to the right or left, strong or weak. It doesn't matter. If we don't tag anything else, we're going to get a now from 1 and 2. Okay, so the quarterback looks and he sees that the corner's deep. So as he catches the snap, that's what he's thinking. The offensive line doesn't know if we're throwing the ball or not. One note: these are all thrown. Quick is thrown behind the line of scrimmage. So is Bubble. Read a whole lot about guys downfield, but we do coach our guys not to chase linebackers until they're sure the ball's out. When you know the ball's out, when you start to see guys start to run after the receiver. So our offensive line, they love RPOs because a lot of times they'll miss a block, but they know the box is loaded. So the ball was probably thrown anyway. Now, we obviously don't want them to miss a block, but they love it. The other deal is we don't have to pass protect on this. We just block the run. So that's what their front seven's defending. Now, because the corner's bailing, there's one defender out there. He's inside of our number 2, and our quarterback says, I'm going to peek at that corner when I catch this snap. If that corner were to trigger and play the quick, he's just going to give the ball. But in this case, what did the corner do? Corner bailed. So the quarterback opens, throws the thing on 2nd and 15. Okay, same deal. This is the same look. Now the quarterback comes out, and these guys like to play a 2 look. Whoa, where'd my deal go there? These guys like to play a cover 2 look. So because they like to play a 2 look, a lot of times we got our second receiver completely uncovered. And that's what they're doing here is they're playing too high. So we feel good about the run here. But our quarterback looks out, and he sees nobody over. You can see there's nobody over number 2. So we're blocking power here. We're actually blocking power to the left side. The back is going left. The quarterback could open and give him the ball. But in this case, the quarterback knows pre-snap, I'm making this throw. I'm throwing quick. He doesn't have to say anything. Now, he can physically turn to the back. If he's not sure what's going to happen, he could physically turn to the back, and this is something that we work a lot in practice based on game plan, and he could say, hey, I need you to cross my face here. I need you to start on the right side so that I can put it in your belly and see what's going to happen. And that's something that we do by game plan. Or, this kid was a very experienced quarterback. He was able to do it. And a lot of people say, well, don't they always throw? No, you'd be surprised. We have to really talk to him a lot about throwing the ball. And that what happens is, right now the ball's out. The number 1 receiver's caught it. He's got a blocker for him, and he's going to be able to pick up some yards. And this is a way that we protect our run game. It's a way that we don't have to have a great quarterback to get our skill guys touches. I had a guy several years ago in the Bronx who threw, just based on our pre-snap RPOs, he had 1,100 yards passing just on those. Our Z receiver who almost put football because he caught 18 passes the year before. And it just, he's a great basketball player. And he's like, Coach, I'm touching the ball less than twice a game, is in one game. He said, I don't get the ball much. And we said, just stick with us. We're doing this new thing. You're going to get a lot more touches. He had 91 touches on the season. 50 of them were on RPO stuff. Pre-snap RPO, just by alignment, because people wanted to take the run game away. And it took them a long time to be able to say, man, we better unload the box, because the minute they do, we got one less guy that we've got to block now. Okay? Here's the same deal. RPO, but we're actually going to give the ball. We're in the stacked back look here. So we've got our back stacked, this time opposite the Y. We're running power to the Y. Man, I keep hitting this button. And I'm going to see if I can pause this. So now they had 2 guys over 2 guys. So the quarterback felt like, man, into the boundary, I probably don't want to throw this. So he ended up giving it on the power. And because they had to defend that quick game, that safety's outside the box, he's got to fight his way back in, and we end up with about a 12-yard gain on that. This is a great look for you. This is an even front team. They're a 4-3 team. Rolled down and played us, played a lot of quarters. It's a 4-4 look, but they're essentially playing quarters, and I'm going to show you the end zone view in a second. And again, I'm sorry, this is so choppy. But you can see up top that safety right now is worried about the quick concept, and our quarterback could have thrown it. There's a lot of times where he's right either way. So we've got that quick concept to the field if he wants it. Well, he doesn't take it. It pulls the football, catches the snap, and ends up giving the football. That safety now is completely out of the mix. That safety can't make a play. And we tell you, hit it tight. This is what we want. This is what we want it to look like. We tell that backhand. The ball was snapped on the hash. He's running a little, and he's actually a little bit too wide. He's kind of got a plant to come back. But this is a team that like to defend the field, so we set our tight end into the boundary, put twins to the field. They called their strength to the field every time. I'll pull you back to the start of this thing. And you can see the 3 technique is set to the field. The 1 technique is set to the boundary where our tight end is. You can see they're trying to defend the field here. So we love this concept. We can always throw the quick game. The quarterback's reading number 2. Number 2 is the backside B-gap player because that defensive tackle, our center's blocking back to the first threat. So if that defensive tackle, that 3 technique, were to widen, our center, 2 would probably stay inside. Well, the 3 tech slanted, so our center blocks him, and the quarterback has his eyes on 2. And all we're doing is holding that guy. Like I said, we almost never get a pull read, no matter who it is. The one time we'll get a pull read is when we get a 1 technique backside and we get a backside B-gap blitzer, where they've taught him, if you get a pull, you're coming right now. And again, it hits tight, and that's the lane we want. And again, there's no safety because he's out playing the quick game. We run another concept where we run stop routes to the twins. We love this into the boundary. We run a stop route to the twins. And the quarterback, actually, this is a post-snap RPO. Our offensive line is blocking power. The key is, this is Idalou High School, who I think this is the season they finished second in the state. They'd won a state title a couple years before. We couldn't pass protect against them very well. They were getting heat on us. But when we ran our RPO stuff, when we blocked power, we could throw the football all game long. The quarterback's read here, this is what we call a cobra tag, and the signal's like a cobra with our stop routes reading the corner. If the corner bails, the quarterback's going to pull the football out of the belly of the back, and he's going to throw it read inside to outside for the stop. If that outside linebacker were to buzz the flat, he'd throw the inside stop. Stays, we're going to throw the outside stop route, or the corner bails, so the quarterback pulls the football. You can see the outside linebacker over number 27, or number 2 receiver. So the quarterback throws the football to the outside guy. We end up with a stop route. If that corner had not bailed, if he was flat-footed or was slow in his pedal, quarterback's just going to give the football. It's a way that we protect our run and we protect our pass. How many times have you come up, and this is kind of how this came out, and you call a stop route, and all of a sudden you get dang press coverage. Now you got to convert. Everybody knows. Quarterback looks at him. He's got to give a signal. How many times does that happen? That's bad. Or how many times you go, you got a run called? You go, man, I wish we had a stop route. The corner's playing at 37 yards. Or we got 2 receivers out there, and you go, man, I wish we had a bubble called because we got leverage. Well, what we've done is we've built that into the calls now. and off of all of our inside runs. So you get in the pistol, you run all your downhill run stuff, but now you can run pre-snap and post-snap RPOs and make the defense never be right and use their coaching against them. Because we also do some stuff where we read the play side inside backer on power. And if he plugs, we run a replacement route behind him a lot of times with the tight end. Hey, we're in split backs here. We're running power to the left side. And again, I know it'll be a little choppy, but it's power to the left side. It's just like if we were running it downhill, but we're running it with that wide action. And all the quarterback's doing is he's reading a backside B-gap guy on this. We end up, you can see right here, the lane that we end up in, or end up with, for our back. That's a pretty good path. Now, the one thing is the back gets too wide. Our rule's still the same in split backs. Hit the A-gap until you can. That's why we kick the defensive end all the time and not a guy wider. We want to kick a guy wider. Now, when we go unbalanced, we'll kick that outside guy only because, again, it depends on our personnel. But this is just and I know you won't get a great look at it, but we'll run power from unbalanced. And the reason we do that, when we go unbalanced with tackle over, so we'll go, here we're guard, tackle on our left side. We're able to get our best offensive lineman. We want him to run the point. We want him to be that outside tackle. And we'll run some outside zone and things like that. And now we'll come back and we'll run power. And after we've been running outside zone, what people are going to do is that safety is going to start widening. And it gives us a chance to be able to really give them some issues with power. It's into a little playlist and put it on Google Drive and post it so you can see them unchoppy. Balanced is really good. I mean, here we're tackle over to the left side. We can go split. We're split back here just because we want it to look like outside zone. And this is an odd front team. And this gave us a chance to get a really, really good double team on that 4 technique and get that thing walled off. Our play side tackle does a phenomenal job here of getting that thing blocked. And, that's what's really fun is when you end up with a lane. I have it paused right here. We get that 4 technique walled all the way down to the A-gap. And that play side linebacker, our tackle's blocking him right now. You can see the kick out. That guy that's setting the edge on the kick out, that wide action, you can see even though he got a hard down block, he's going to widen, and that helps create more space. And then, of course, this ends up being a big run. The other concept we run is power from our front side read. And we're in a pistol set here. We've got 3 backs, and now we block power, but our quarterback's going to get his eyes on the front side guy that we normally kick, shuffle, ride. If that guy widens or gets we're going to pull the football and get downhill, which he does right here. I'm actually going to show you the next clip of this. And I'll try to pause it so you can kind of see it. But we love this from 3 back because the minute we step off the midpoint, we've got an advantage. They're worried about outside zone, so they're gaining width. The quarterback ends up pulling the football and getting downhill. This is a scrimmage against Muleshoe High School a couple years ago. They were 5 rounds deep and lost in the semifinals. We had a great scrimmage. We ran a boatload of power. And this was a good football team to work on our power read, and you can see the wall that we get built again. It's a great wall. We really love it when the offensive line does that. And then here we get into a 1-back 2-by-2 look. This against Odessa Permian. You guys probably remember them from Friday Night Lights. And we're in a 2-by-2 look, and we're running power read, and that defensive end. So we offset our back on this. Now, we do run this a little bit from the pistol where the back will step backside and cross in front. I'm not going to tell you it's smooth. You got to have some kids that if you have average players, offset the back to run it. But this gives you a great look. That Permian kid's well coached, so that defensive end steps down. So we end up giving the football, and that gives us a chance to break free and end up scoring a touchdown. This touchdown actually lost us the game. And I know people say, how does that happen? But we couldn't stop them. And it was a tough situation where if he just takes a knee, there's a minute 30 to go, and they have no time, or they have one timeout, we can run the clock out and win the game. As it is, he scores, and we kick off. They score in 3 plays. They kick off, and kind of a pooch kick, and it hits our kid. He fumbles, and they recover and end up kicking a field goal to win a tough situation. But this gives you just power reads, a great concept. You get a well-coached defensive end who's going to take that step down. We're going to give the football. If he runs upfield or he widens, the quarterback's going to pull, get downhill. Anything else, give the ball. Anything else. So we can run that out of pistol. We can run it out of our 3-back. We'll run it out of some 1-back and 2-back stuff. And then we run a power read variation where we run jet sweep. Here we're running jet to the right. And I'll try to pause this for you. But our offensive line is blocking power to the left. And the quarterback's reading the Mike linebacker. If the Mike flows with the jet, the quarterback pulls the football and runs power backside, which is what he's doing here. If the Mike linebacker does anything else, the quarterback is going to give the football on the jet. Here's the end zone view of that. Okay, so the quarterback is reading. In this case, the quarterback's reading the backside Mike. He sees, now we're still blocking him. We don't not block him. But if the quarterback sees him flow with the jet, the quarterback pulls the football and gets downhill. And in this case, the Mike is actually lined up almost like a wheel because they knew we like to run some jet out of this. But our offensive line's blocking the left side block power, tight end. They're blocking, and the backs are all blocking jet to the right, and you can see the space that your quarterback ends up with. If that number 51 there had slow played it, we would have given the ball in the jet and ended up with a good play. Normally, we're reading a mic on that. Our next concept is GT. We run GT as a read with our quick game RPO, and we throw a lot of quick game RPO off of it. We also run it the exact same way I just showed you with a jet. Sometimes we offset our back. Here we offset the back. And the reason that our quarterback gets a pull read here, and I'm going to pause it, because that defensive end in pink socks is chasing, so our quarterback pulls the ball. Because we ran the quick game concept to both sides, the outside linebacker is not there to play the quarterback. He comes into the picture late. So our quarterback scores, and he can't come in and make. That's something that we like out of the quick game. The offensive line blocks GT. I'm going to show you this picture here. I know we're starting to get out of time. I'm going to have to get rolling pretty quick, but I wanted to give you a lot of stuff here. The GT concept off of jet action, we read it. For our backs, our H and our T, they're blocking jet left. Our receivers on the left side, no matter how many of them we have, are blocking jet left. So they're blocking for the jet. Our offensive line blocks GT to the right. Quarterback reads the defensive end to the jet side. If that defensive end widens or runs upfield, the quarterback will pull the ball and run GT. If that defensive end does anything else, the quarterback at that point is going to give the football. I'm going to see what we got here for questions, too. I wanted to jump out. I know I've missed some of these. There will be a Google Drive. I will post it on that sign-in sheet, the one that has my name. And we'll make sure if you're on there, we'll make sure that I'll put it so anybody with that link can have it. If you have any problems, you email me at coachvint@gmail.com, and I can make sure that you get all this stuff. Still got 20 on here. Good. I'll go a couple more minutes here and we'll go through this. I just want to make sure I got all those questions. But this concept right here, if you run any jet from pistol, whether it be one back or two back, we can run this from any set. But again, I'll kind of pause this so you can see how it works. But we're in a twins right look, what we call run, but our signal just, our right hand, our signal is right hand, 2 fingers up, puts twins to the right. And then we're signaling for the left side. This is what we would call Luger, pistol back behind the quarterback and the H offset to the left side. Those 2 guys in the backfield are going to block jet to the left. The offensive line is blocking GT to the right, and the quarterback's reading the defensive end, and that defensive end is running wide and upfield here. He's playing the jet. Okay, he's the guy at the just outside the hash there, squatted. You can see their linebackers are chasing the jet. So the quarterback's going to pull the football and get downhill. And I'm gonna show you the end zone view of this. So now the quarterback, this is hard. You're a linebacker and you get full flow to your right, and then you've got GT coming back to your left. Where do you go? Well, some guys are coached to play the GT. They actually read their keys, but most guys have their eyes in the backfield. So our quarterback sees that defensive end widen, pulls the football, gets downhill, and you can see that it creates a heck of a lot of space. Our pullers sometimes don't end up blocking anybody on this, but that's that GT read concept. Here's traditional GT, which we love to run from the pistol. I mean, this is good old-fashioned traditional GT. Everybody's blocking down. Our tight end here has a problem. He doesn't do a great job. He's too high, and he's got an All-American defensive end, literally an All-American defensive end. Big-time guy crosses his face and ends up spilling our first puller. But you can see that the work is done. Both linebackers flowed to play because we're running this off outside zone to the left. GT back to the right. And again, we run it off that outside zone lead. I told you a boss call, and then the quarterback, he shows the football, gives it off his back hip, and it's a nice concept. The other thing we love to do is run outside zone read. It allows us to get our H some touches. We can run this with our H. We can run it with our T. We can run it offset. We can run it from split back. We can run it from jet. We don't have to change any blocking. For us, it's just outside zone. That's it. We're going to read the backside defensive end. We never get a pull on this. What we do, though, is we have different tags. So let's say that, like, I want to know who made the tackle on the first play. Is the Mike linebacker flown over the top? Then we're going to come back at some point with an RPO to replace him. The other thing we'll do is we'll read the Mike with a run read. So we would reach the defensive end, like let's say that play side inside linebacker made the play. We'd reach the defensive end and we'd ISO block it with our center and left guard combo into the backside backer, and then we'd hinge and stay solid on the backside. And that allows us, if that Mike flows, the quarterback pulls and gets downhill. The only guy that's got a tough job, and we tell him on our outside zone, normally we're reaching the end of the outside bicep. We tell him, get your helmet in his armpit. That gets us thick enough that he can't fall off inside on a pull read, but it lets that defensive end want to stretch and not give up the edge. So that's something where you can tag who you read and change it, and we love to do it. And I know these are choppy clips, but essentially here we're running outside zone to the left, and the pistol back leading, and his rule is edge to stack. That means he's got the first guy outside the defensive end. If there's nobody outside the defensive end, then he's got this. There's going to be a player scraping over the top. That's usually a stacked guy, and that's the guy he's got. And this ends up being a good football play for you. that takes away your downhill tendencies. And again, if you have two good backs that'll block for each other, this is a concept that's really, really good. And it's something that I think you can be good at any level. Now I'm going to show you another clip. We're split backs here. This is true split backs. And right away, you're going to notice something. They're a 4-1 box team. This guys I showed you earlier, how worried they were about the quick game concept. So we read that outside zone when we're offset. We're reading that thing. First, we're looking backside. What happens here is we get this thing reached. Obviously, we're not blocking the backside defensive end, but both safeties have vacated to play the quick concept. So the back football, and there's no one left. And I'm going to show you again. And again, I'll pause it. You can see that safety to the other side, outside the hash. Watch what he does. I'm going to pause it. He's running to play the quick. We have twins to the left side. And he game concept, that now screen that we're RPOing, that he's not in a position and down run on that play right there. That's very, very kind of a dual purpose for that quick game RPO. And here, another version of it, running it to the right again from a pistol look. Here gives you a look at the edge to stack. Now, that outside backer ends up coming inside. So 34 ends up blocking him through the inside gap. They just gap exchanged it. And we end up getting it blocked off. And, of course, then it becomes a speed game. And you don't want to run outside zone to a slow guy. We also run it. You can see the picture here reading the tackle. And this is where we'll start to get a little bit more of a pull read. And, again, we just tag it. You can use any tag you want, any word you want. We used to just touch a forehead, and I told them we're reading the tackle. And we like to run it from a 3-back gun look. And in this case, we're actually reading the tackle to our right side. The defense's left defensive tackle. This against Midland Lee. You can see how fast they're run for the back. He's looking for first daylight. So he's sprinting to the edge, but he has already seen this. Now, that defensive tackle's not chasing, so the quarterback gives the ball, and you can see this ends up hitting inside. It actually hits in the A gap. So from our 3-back, we can do a lot of different things, and this helps to set up power read, and then we run a quarterback ISO off of the outside zone action as well. So this gives you a look at how you can do some things. I've got some option stuff on here also. We did with an option quarterback run some midline where we read the first guy to be a 1 or a 3 technique against an even front, against an odd front. It varies. But we think this is a really easy read. The big key for us with traditional option football is if we're running midline or veer in the pistol, because we don't move up, we leave our quarterback at toes at 4.5 to 5 yards, is that he's got to shuffle to the line of scrimmage. In midline, our back's still got to be down the midpoint, but in veer, our back's got to tighten his path a little more than what he would do under center. So this gives you a look. We can double insert. There's a million things that we can do with our midline play to make it very good. We love to run it to a shade. I'm going to tell you right now, I used to only run it to a 3 under center. In the pistol, man, we'll run it to a 1. We'll run it to a 2-eye. Now, if we get a 0 nose, we're not going to read the nose. If he's a true 0, we're going to base block him, and we'll read the first down guy play side. The reason we love running this to a 2-eye is that they can't gap exchange. We're going to get both. If it's a 4-2 box, we're going to get both linebackers blocked. When we run it to a 3-tech, a lot of times a 3-tech will squeeze and take the dive, and then the linebacker will scrape over the top and hit our quarterback in the mouth. This gives us the ability this shows you a picture of it to an odd front and how we block that. And what we do is we tell the tackle, take best release. So if we have, and again, our odd rule really is we'd like to arc always arc outside. But if it's a 3-3 stack, then he's going to take best release, because if that defensive end's in a wide 5, the stack backer's probably working inside anyway. We love to run midline from our one-back stuff, and you see the back. That season, our backs, they love to be. We'd run outside zone and inside zone with the back in a 3-point stance. And I'm going to pause this. We're running this left. You can see it's to a 2-eye, and I'll pause it. Through the mesh, the quarterback shuffling. That 2-eye is coming down to take the dive. Quarterback pulls the football, and we tell him, pull and replace, get downhill. And there you can see number 10, because we're able to get a body on a body, and our tackle does a great job of getting getting that defensive end walled outside, and we want decent size splits on this. So midline's a great way to attack and hit downhill. It's not always a pull read versus a 2-eye, but we will have that at times. Here we're running it to the left versus an even front. Okay, that 3 technique is squeezing to take the dive. So the quarterback pulls the football and gets downhill, and we end up with a good play against a good football team. Here it is versus an odd front. Love it versus an odd front. And most of the time, when we first started running it, we thought, man, we're always going to get a give read. And that's a good thing, because we got a body on a body. And versus an odd front, we tell the back, stay on the midpoint and work off the block of the center. We tell the center to try to get play side. Our center here does a great job. Quarterback does a great job shuffling through the mesh, and who's in a 4-eye comes all the way down to take the back. So again, we end up with a really good space right here, and when a play looks like that, it's usually going to have a pretty good ending. And when we get teams that like to play a 3-2 box, we'll get into doubles and we'll get into trips, and we're going to go ahead and run midline. And I love to run midline away from the trips into the boundary. And then inside veer, we run this some as a triple option play. I like it because, again, it's a simple read, but it stresses that play side linebacker and stresses the defensive end. Under center, we aim for the outside hip of the guard. In the pistol, we aim for the inside leg of the guard. Because when we run at the outside leg of the guard, it allows the read player to play both guys. If he runs at the inside leg, it makes that read player have to make a choice. And I'll show you one clip here just to kind of give you a look. This is versus an odd front from our 3-back pistol. That front side back, his job is to block the safety. That safety right here is playing at 7 yards on the snap. What we do with the front side guard and the front side tackle is they track play side linebacker to backside safety. If the play side linebacker flows, the tackle's got him. The guard has him. Whichever way he goes, the player opposite is going to work to the backside safety, which our tackle does a great job of here and gets just enough of it. The quarterback gets a pull read. I'm going to show you the picture of it here. Quarterback gets a pull read. You can see from the end zone view. So he's going to get downhill, attack the outside linebacker. Outside linebacker comes to him, pitches, and we end up with a really good play for a touchdown. Here is we don't need a devastating block by the front side back working to that safety. He just needs to get a body on him. And if we're getting a true cover 2 look, we'll switch block it where we'll crack with the outside receiver on the safety, and then we'll take the play side back and arc him, and then of course we run some play action off of it. Just a couple notes on the pass game. What we like about it in the pistols, a quarterback already has depth. It's simple to protect. And again, we do almost everything RPO. We do a little bit of quick game stuff that isn't RPO, but it's all off a tempo. And we get a lot of explosive plays off of short passes. I'm going to post this presentation up for you so that you can see it. And I'll get the videos posted. And again, I'll put it on Google Drive and post a link so y'all can get access to it. If you want to get a little more on the pistol, of course, I got a couple pistol books and then some videos, and then I did write a tempo and RPO book that if you buy the iBooks version, I think they're like $9. They have video clips embedded as well as diagrams and everything else. If you buy the Kindle version, it's the same book, just no video. There's my email if you have questions. Talk ball through Twitter. I got a little blog. I like to try to share stuff. Anything that I can do or anybody in our program can do, we would gladly do for you. Our split rules, Jake, are 2-foot splits. That's how it starts. When we run, I'll give you an example. When we run midline, for example, if we get a 3 technique, we'll get a little bit wider, and what we'll do is we'll teach our guys, hey, how do you create space? What's this guy's rule? Most of our guys have played D-line, so hey, take an extra step, take 2 steps. What's his rule? Test his rule. Find out how far he can go before he moves inside of you, and that's not a horrible thing either. But our splits start at 2 feet. When we're really playing well, they'll go to 2.5 to 3. I don't like them much bigger than that. And the reason I don't like them much bigger is that we have to be really, really good. I mean, we have to be great with our feet. Where we want to be. That's a great question. If anybody else has any questions, I hope, just let me know. You can shoot me an email. And again, I'll get this stuff. Give me a day or two. Hopefully, maybe even tomorrow. Just depending. We had a half day of school, so I'll see what I can do. But guys, if there's anything that anybody can do, I work for a great head coach, Marcus Shavers, and our offensive coordinator, a guy named Robert Boone. He's the ball coach, THA ball coach at Twitter. Is one of the greatest young minds I've worked with. It's phenomenal. We will help you out any way that we can. Anybody wants to come visit when we start spring drills. We're a 4A school, so we can't go pads in the spring. But we go during our athletic period, and we go a full practice for the 47 minutes or whatever we have them. We practice, we run through stuff. If you want to come out in the winter, I'll be speaking this year at the Glacier in Indianapolis, at the Glacier in Houston, and then I'll be at the Northwest All Sports Clinic in Seattle, and I'll be in Connecticut at the Nike Clinic there, and then possibly I'm supposed to be at the Nike Clinic in Orlando, but we have a conflict with our track meet that weekend, so I may only be there Sunday morning, or if at all. We're trying to get that figured out. I'm glad you like the RPO book. The tempo book's awesome too, because I'm telling you, we won a lot of games with being able to change our tempo against some people we shouldn't beat. Nathan, I'm looking forward to seeing you, man, and I think you're speaking there too, so that's going to be awesome. If you guys need anything, again, let me know. I hope you got something out of this. I'm sorry the video was a little choppy, but I'll try to get some things cleaned up, take a look at it, and if there's anything that I can do, please let me know, or anybody on our staff. We'd love to help you out. Thanks, guys.